Why this whale is Toronto bound. Ontario election looms. And no joke, the Bitcoin alternative. Welcome to Globe Now, I'm Affan Chowdhry. A Newfoundland town has been wondering this week what to do about this blue whale. It's now headed to Toronto thanks to the Royal Ontario Museum, which wants to study it. The museum is sending a team next week to Trout River to dissect the whale, remove the flesh, and ship the bones on 18-wheelers. And maybe one day, put its skeleton on display. And all that worry among residents about this happening? Overblown, says the museum. It will more likely deflate. And get this, there's a second blue whale nearby that is also Toronto bound. Just a coincidence? Not at all. 9 blue whales were crushed to death last month in the same area because of severe ice conditions. Federal scientists say that is unprecedented, and it is worrying because the total whale population in the Northwest Atlantic is less than 250. For scientists, there's still a lot to learn about these amazing animals. Well, let's go to Ontario politics. NDP leader Andrea Horwath has made it official. Her party will join the Progressive Conservatives and vote down the new Ontario budget. We're joined by Adam Radwanski to discuss. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you.
So, in terms of an election, is it all but certain that it's going to happen?
Short answer, yes. I don't see any way it doesn't. I mean, Andrea Horwath was very clear today. The NDP is not going to abstain. They are going to vote against the budget, and I think we'll probably see this happen. A call happen next week. And it looks like a June 12th election date is the one people are kind of betting on, although it's not certain. But no, there's no way we're not having an election this spring.
What does the NDP gain by triggering this election?
Well, part of it is what it doesn't lose. I mean, the NDP is competing with the Conservatives for change votes in Ontario. They need to be able to campaign against a Liberal record of scandal. If they were to support the government again, it becomes harder to get those folks on board, and that could really cost them in a lot of ridings. In terms of what they gain, I mean, it's really hard to say. It's a very open field right now. The Liberals and the NDP are competing for a lot of voters out there. And I think the thinking is just generally this is about the right time. There's a lot of voters available to them, so at some point you have to get on the campaign trail and just take a shot at them.
What are going to be the big issues, do you think?
Well, the opposition will try to make the big issues the Liberal scandal. So gas plants, email deletions, that kind of thing. And that will be a bit of an issue. I think beyond that, I mean, the obvious issue in Ontario right now is the economy. Economic growth is slow. The province has a big deficit. And there's some interesting competing visions there. I mean, if you look at where the Liberals are at, and we saw this in their budget yesterday, that's a big, interventionist kind of approach to the economy. I think obviously it's political, but it's also a genuine belief the government can really help move the economy with a lot of new spending and that sort of thing. The Conservatives are much more of a hands-off, smaller government kind of approach. So that's an interesting clash. The kind of wild card there is the NDP, which doesn't really have a particularly strong economic vision at the moment. So we'll see where they come down on it. Maybe they kind of skate by that debate.
I mean, what do you think Ontario Premier Kathleen Wynne has to prove in this election campaign?
Well, she has to prove a couple. I mean, first of all, we haven't seen her campaign before.
Yeah.
So, she's been pretty good in the last 15 months in terms of keeping her party above, afloat. That doesn't necessarily mean she'll be good on the campaign trail. And for instance, when we get to a leaders debate, she'll be the only one of the three who's never actually been in one before.
Interesting.
So that's a bit of a challenge for her. In terms of what she has to prove also, it's that she can get away from Dalton McGuinty's record. I mean, he's, clearly if it's about that or if it's about the Liberal Party brand, they're in trouble. If they can make it about her and her image stays as positive as it has for the last 15 months, she's actually got a shot.
And if the election were to be held tomorrow, who would win?
If it were tomorrow, it would probably be a minority government and a Liberal or Conservative. I would say this, though. We've seen from recent campaigns in Quebec, in British Columbia, federally, once the campaign starts, all bets are off. So there are very few results that would surprise me at the end of the campaign.
Well, thank you so much, Adam.
Thank you.
Well, if you are in Ontario, are you happy about this development? Tweet us your election thoughts. We're at Globe Now. And now we switch from campaigning to currency. A new digital currency, that is. Dogecoin hits high gear on Sunday, sponsoring a NASCAR race in Alabama. But what is Dogecoin, and where did it come from? The Globe's Shane Dingman explains.
You may have heard of Bitcoin, the digital cryptocurrency that only investors like the Winklevi claim to understand. But have you ever heard of Dogecoin? Starring the internet's favorite Shiba pooch, this peer-to-peer currency first appeared on Twitter and Reddit as a joke, a way to mock the Bitcoin mania that was sweeping across the globe in 2013. Much to the surprise of everybody involved, Dogecoin is now a serious digital currency worth about $37 million. Very coin, much wow. It's only been in existence for about 5 months, and it's already one of the top 3 digital currencies out there. Its supporters and fans just wrapped up a Doge convention in San Francisco. Unlike Bitcoin speculators, the people who use Doge think of it more like internet points, good karma to pass around for people doing nice things on the internet. That charitable urge can also be used for big projects. There was a lot of Dogecoin that ended up sending Jamaica's bobsled team to Sochi, and there's a NASCAR driver who's being sponsored to go to Talladega. Each Dogecoin is still only worth a fraction of a cent. Each Bitcoin is worth around $400, and there's some fear that if Doge ever reaches those lofty heights, that some of the energy might get sucked out of that feel-good community. Here's hoping that the money doesn't go to Doge's head. As its creator, Jackson Palmer, said at DogeCon, let's never forget that this is a currency with a dog on a coin.
Well, that's it for today's show. Thanks for joining us. If you've got a moment, hop onto Twitter and tell us what you think about the Royal Ontario Museum's plans to fix Newfoundland's rotting whale problem. Or tell us how you feel about Ontario possibly going to the polls this spring. You can find us at Globe Now. I'm Affan Chowdhry. Thanks again for watching.